Hey, it's Soul, and this is Warcraft Weekly, and my player housing tummy is nice and full. You can help support the channel by liking this video, subscribing for more WoW coverage, and catching me where I'm live. Real quick, I'm going to be streaming this coming Monday ahead of the upcoming Twitch drop for a Turtle Shell Transmog. I'm also going to be doing some giveaways for mounts and even Miss the Pandaria Classic Epic Keys. That should be fun. The drop starts Monday, July 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific, and it goes on for the next month. So I hope to see you on Twitch. That's where all the giveaways are happening. Patch 11.2 is coming earlier than expected, and I'm seething. Yes, this is the face of someone who's so upset. Oh my god, it's coming sooner than I predicted. No. Anyway, 11.2 is going to drop the week of August 5th, with the season kicking off the week before Gamescom, and the midnight announcement the week after that. So it's a great time for people like us who pay too much attention to the news. It's not hard to predict why they shaved a week off of this current season. It's just timing. Opening the raid the week before the midnight announcement gives the 11.2 story that much more breathing room. It takes pressure away from gamers, and it gives them that much more time to get their first clear in or to complete story mode just in time for the expansion reveal when all of Azeroth takes a break to have a big old dance party at Club Midnight. Sorry, spoiler alert. But what does this do for the rest of the War Within schedule and the midnight release? Probably not much. I mean, it's just a week, and I'm still shooting for like a March or so kind of release of next year. We're only a month away from Gamescom, with a small chance, along with the midnight announcement, that we may have a launch date, or at least an updated roadmap in case we want to plan out the rest of 2025. So we got to talk about the housing article from the other day that it didn't answer some of our detailed questions like how outdoor decor works, but it did drop some huge news about neighborhoods. I did my initial reaction the other day, but now I want to dive in and break down just what it is we're looking forward to with the day-to-day of housing. I've been looking at reactions here and there, and there's already a ton of, well, what I think are misinformed opinions. Folks are looking at neighborhoods like they have a renown track and chores and a rep grind, and they're distilling this all into, simple time gating. There is a lot more to it, but at the same time, the neighborhood side of housing, it's not nearly as complicated as some are trying to make it out to be. So strap in. We're going to be here for a bit talking about my favoriteest thing. First, we got a glance at the neighborhood zones themselves. They're being described as very large to suit the 50 or so plots available. The plots themselves are varied on their position, with some being pretty close together, like in cul-de-sacs. Others are isolated to fit our preferences. But there's going to be enough room between plots, so it doesn't feel like someone who made like a whole fence made out of shields, that it doesn't distract from the other person next door who has their fence made out of swords. We learned this is going to be a central area with other buildings and NPCs to add a little bit of life to neighborhoods, because chances are good we won't be seeing 50 players always active in our neighborhoods, and these NPCs will facilitate progression, which we're going to get into in a bit. They mentioned a hedge maze as well, in case you wanted an idea of the creativity possible with exterior decorating, because, well, the screenshots themselves, they're kind of plain. But we do get a first look at Horde housing, which looks quite a bit larger than the Alliance counterpart. There's not too much else to say with the whopping 2 examples we've got. I just hope we get a lot more variety in exterior housing. I'm not joking when I say I'm happy with just like having a kind of a magic door I can set against a rock face, or just have it like stand up upright on its own. That way I can use all the extra real estate to try and create my channel logo and have it spin in a circle like for all to see. And that is how you get kicked from your neighborhood. We'll be able to name our neighborhoods, and it's okay if multiple neighborhoods have the same name, so you too can call yours For the Hood, or Neighbor Horde, or Volpira Skank Alleyway, whatever, but it's going to have a number next to it in case you're taking up someone else's name. So, hey, good luck trying to get the all-important 69. There's actually going to be a third kind of neighborhood. We learned about the public and private neighborhoods, but there's also going to be a special guild neighborhood, which also functions like a private neighborhood, but, well, what I think it's better, because normal private neighborhoods are limited to the 50 or so plots, meaning 50 players are going to be fighting for those desired spots. Guild neighborhoods, on the other hand, they're limited by the guild limit of 1,000 players. So what happens here is if 2 or more people want the same spot, the game is going to allow that using phasing, which is great if the guild wants to like stay together. So forget guild halls, you're going to have like a guild neighborhood or a guild kingdom, but it would be terrible if, like, let's say 100 people want the exact same plot, and now your neighborhood is shaped kind of weird. But here's also some bad news. They didn't say exactly how many, but there needs to be a minimum number of players in a given neighborhood for it to exist. So your dreams of having a neighborhood all to yourself, it's not happening. With a lot of effort, you can try to find players who aren't interested in housing at all. They're out there. They're all over the comments, very proudly saying so. You can ask them to sign your housing charter and they would move in. They would technically live there, but that might be tough because a player can only have 2 houses, one on the Horde side and one on the Alliance side. The reasons for the limitation are technical and performance-based, which is to say they might relax on the restrictions someday, but for now, you just want to worry about yourself and try to choose the spot you like. This also brings up a concern about public housing too, because consider this. Out of the 50 plots per neighborhood, there are going to be like 2 plots, 1 plot per faction that are going to be the most popular ones to pick up because of whatever reason. It's going to mean that technically there will be as many neighborhoods as there are the most popular housing plot because every other plot can just live in the other neighborhoods that it spawned. It's going to mean, in a way, people who pick up the most popular housing plots also have a good chance of being part of the loneliest, so the emptiest public neighborhoods. And that's if they happen to be the ones who end up spinning up a new neighborhood to meet that need. It's a weird technicality, but that's more Blizzard's problem than ours, but we'll have to see how all that turns out. Answering some common questions, you can just up and move to a new plot or neighborhood where the state of your house is just saved, and you can unpack it at the new location just like that, which is kind of cool because it hints that they will actually be able to save the state of your house. How many can we save? I don't know. They also did hint at a gold cost to doing this move, but just like the actual cost of the house, unfortunately we didn't get those details, which is going to lead to plenty of conspiracy theories. And there's going to be privacy settings too for both the exterior and interior of your house to get rid of all the creepers. The bulk of the article covered what lots of folks have been wanting to learn about and what I've been the most anxious over, and that's the neighborhood system, which takes steps to take housing more social and give a feeling of progression for the neighborhood and individual players too. But does it work? From the read of things so far, and this is just my personal take for right now, yeah, I think they nailed it pretty well once you avoid like some of the wording traps and the assumptions that a lot of folks fell into, so let's talk about it. There are a few pieces to neighborhoods, but we first need to look at the individual progression shown on this house dashboard, which at first looks like a renown track. Here we have the name of the house as well as the kind of address or the neighborhood name. You can also see the pull down on the upper right that probably lets us switch to our other house for reasons I don't quite know yet. Next to that, we can find a new house, as in maybe move to a new plot or a neighborhood. Next to that is a button. I'm going to guess that teleports us directly to our home or neighborhood, as we saw this little insignia-looking Hearthstone guy on the 2025 roadmap. Next to that are tabs showing us this sheet and what I think might show us the housing chest, or inventory or decor. Up top, there's a tab pointing out house level and endeavors, which we're going to get to, and below is the displayed level and what we get. Notice the increased decor limit as we progress, which kind of makes sense to me. The Boston demo was very cool because when we sat down and messed around with stuff, we had like this very high budget and tons of decor to work with. In reality though, we're going to spend a lot of our first days and weeks of housing just getting our feet wet and learning how the hell the controls work and just getting our decor collections off the ground. So naturally, a very high decor limit, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. It's a very common game design approach where the developer doesn't want to overwhelm the user with, too many options at once when they're still getting used to like what all the buttons do. It's kind of like how a player zooms to max level and later in a WoW expansion and they're like, okay, so what do I do now? So when we ask ourselves, how do we get decor? A few things have already been mentioned, like achievements and drops and shop purchases and rep vendors and so on and so forth. It looks like this level track will either give us these items here outright or unlock the ability to buy them from a vendor, hopefully with gold. I'm going to guess the vendor route because it wouldn't make a lot of sense to, get this level and then get one chair and then that's it. I mean, maybe we'll get a freebie or something like that, and then we can buy the rest. And it'll also be awkward if we can get unlimited chairs because then I would definitely make a house made out of nothing but chairs. But anyway, with these unlocks, players with less patience, they're going to cry time gating, even though we're just talking about cosmetics and not player power. Mycopium, and by the way, Mycopium's fierce, it tells me because this is a level track, eventually we're going to hit max level, but there's going to be plenty more things to earn. So I'm looking at this as just the introduction to housing, and that's it. We'll eventually graduate from this screen, and we'll spend most of our attention Call it Endgame in the Endeavors tab. When reading about what Endeavors are about, I immediately got some really strong trading post vibes. So here's how I think it works. For public neighborhoods, each month the game is going to select an endeavor, which is a set of goals to work towards for housing rewards, themed after the chosen endeavor. The screenshots provided show Val'Sharah as a zone-based theme, meaning people living in that neighborhood will progress this endeavor and unlock Val'Sharah-based rewards. My hopes are that we see more endeavors based on other unique zones like racial themes or seasons and more. In the case of a private neighborhood, whoever has managing power will be able to choose from a selection of endeavors at the start of the month. It sounds like that means a small selection of the total pool, but it could also mean selecting from the entire pool, which will let private neighborhoods keep a certain theme forever if they really wanted to, maybe. Finally, they stated that sometimes, depending on what's going on in-game, the endeavor will be forced on us too. From the reading, it seems like normally, at any given time, many different endeavors will be active among the different neighborhoods, giving each of them a, kind of a unique identity. But let's get back to what endeavors do. Working towards them will get us special currency, and hitting milestones will unlock relevant housing decor available for people to purchase. Again, I can't help but draw parallels with the Traveler's Log from the Trading Post, where we progress through that, doing the stuff that we normally do, from gathering to endgame to whatever. Only in this case, with these endeavors, the requirements are shared and they scale with the neighborhood. If it's got all 50 slots filled out with people, the requirements for these endeavors are going to be high compared to a neighborhood of 10 people or whatever the minimum is. The rewards aren't limited to what we unlock in our neighborhood though, because we can travel between neighborhoods that might have chosen a different endeavor in case we want to purchase items from there instead because it's different or it's just progressed further. While endeavors are a group effort, it's still a good idea to at least participate in these things because you get a currency to be used on buying these unlocked items, and so far it seems to be the only way you can get experience towards your housing level. Completing the monthly endeavor will alter part of the neighborhood zone and give it a cool theme, and we'll get like these bonus currencies just like the Traveler's Log. So again, very, very strong trading post vibes where the game or you or someone else chooses the endeavor, aka the Traveler's Log, and then you just do what you normally do and you get credits. Then you save or spend depending on the available themes. And the expectation I'm going to set now is we should be able to like save. There should be no currency caps, no forced spending. The questions and concerns I have are, again, they're similar to how the trading post works. Like, first, is the currency very tightly controlled like the trading post? Because there's going to be a lot of conversations about that. And second, when these endeavor themes are introduced, are they going to be static or will they expand over time? My expectation is that as we cycle through endeavors, we'll eventually buy everything up unless they keep adding new endeavors, or they add items to existing ones, or preferably both. Some of you might remember early conversations about housing when the question was posed, how will new housing items be introduced and where? Up until now, we had a good idea of all the familiar sources, like I said, quest rewards and achievements and vendors of all sorts, including the trading post and professions and good old-fashioned drops. So it looks like endeavors are going to be one of those main vehicles that'll keep the availability of housing decor feeling like it's coming at a regular pace. Just my opinion, but it feels better than having to wait like 8 or so weeks for a big old content drop, and it'll be independent from the trading post currency, at least outside of decor that will actually be on the trading post. But here's what I envision for endeavors. Now, I'm going to make this up as a possible scenario, so don't hurt me. So after housing makes its debut, each month, let's say we'll get like 4 endeavors to choose from out of a total pool of like 9 or 10 total endeavors or, other themes. It could be like race themes, it could be expansion themes or certain zones being highlighted or holidays, and more. So at any given time, up to 4 endeavors will be active across all the neighborhoods in the game. And we players will do activities to earn currency and then buy stuff from ours or others' neighborhoods depending on how far they're progressed. And then next month it's going to rotate. We're going to get 4 different endeavors and we'll continue to get different combinations. In the long term, Blizzard's going to be developing new endeavors as well as making new decor to add to the existing ones. So even as we see repeats and we choose like the same one again, the new additions will keep these passive collections feeling fresh and worth participating in each month. And maybe some private neighborhoods, maybe we'll be able to like freeze the endeavor, meaning potentially every kind of endeavor could be up if you just know where to look. Now, again, I'm just making stuff up, but based on what we've learned off of this post and the previous ones, I think I'm pretty close to the mark. What I hope this means is players won't have to wait months or years for their desired race or theme to get their turn as an endeavor. With endeavors, the WoW team can start delivering smaller amounts of decor, but on a semi-frequent basis. But let's kind of backtrack to what's less concept and more known, and we'll walk ourselves through again what the neighborhood and endeavor experience is going to be like. So it's the start of a new endeavor. It might be like the first of the month, like the trading post. It might be the first weekend of the month, like the Darkmoon Fair, or it could be something else. But hey, it's here. Players in public neighborhoods, they're going to have their endeavor randomly chosen for them. Managers of private neighborhoods, they'll be able to choose on their own. And in either case, a goal is present that has a flow similar to that of the Traveler's Log. That is what's being presented to players when they log in. Being able to choose our endeavor is kind of cool for the sake of wanting our neighborhood to feel a certain way, but it's also an illusion of choice for the broader player base because effectively all of the possible endeavors for that month will be active for everybody. Instead of locating another NPC, we'll just be seeking out and traveling to other people's neighborhoods who might have the endeavor items we want unlocked, but we'll also happen to pass by other people's homes and be like, ooh, damn, that's a really nice looking steampunk meets Taylor Swift kind of vibe or something like that. Like, it makes me think that while a lot of folks are going to want their cozy little spot away from everyone else, some are going to want their home close to the square in the hopes that there's going to be a lot of foot traffic and attention drawn to their place. I think it'll be funny if someone were to try spelling out their like OnlyFeets account or something out on their yard. It seems a lot of the social aspect of neighborhoods isn't as hands-on as some assumed. Some of the chatter around the internet suggested that housing was going to have like a Farmville kind of feel, you know, asking neighbors, spamming their emails or whatever to come visit our houses to clean up stuff or till the soil, or, you know, this kind of forced participation, having to go out of our way to do housing activities specifically instead of our usual day-to-day, you know, actual chores. The impression I have is that for at least the sake of getting the rewards we want, we'll be asking around for neighborhoods with endeavors unlocked so we can make those purchases, and that's if we're really set on completing a certain collection. So I think endeavors are less about doing things as if we're forced to be in a group and more like being united under a singular assigned goal. Most things you do will contribute to the endeavor passively, and the efforts of your neighbors or your guildmates, they're also going to play a part. At the same time, I don't think people would mind if endeavors can optionally be progressed by like sweeping up around the house or picking up random trash or, you know, just stuff as an optional credit, just like how there's a wide array of activities that contribute to our Traveler's Log. When we step back and ask ourselves, what is housing going to feel like in the world of Warcraft? I feel like the leveling and endeavor portion of it is more or less passive. It's a trading post kind of progression, with bonuses because endeavor themes do a bit to shape the neighborhoods our houses are in. We can also break this down a little bit more cynically. Endeavors are the trading post, split into the illusion of choice, where people will be chasing for the rewards they want by asking around and jumping into other people's neighborhoods. It stands to reason that while the rotation and targeted nature of it means I'll be able to, you know, more or less complete collecting a specific theme or endeavor even, if more decor is added to them over time, it's gonna feel impossible for me to 100% all endeavors, leading some folks to engage with those discussions about like FOMO and never getting that sense of completion, yada yada yada. It's not something I agree with, I just see that happening. I know I'm repeating myself a bunch and making lots of assumptions, and given the timing of this article, we're not likely to learn more until at least Gamescom, when Midnight is revealed, and maybe we'll get a panel and some dev interviews. My initial impression, though, of all this stuff is very, very, very good. I'm getting excited with each post, and with everything we're learning, endeavors ensure a steady flow of decor for interested gamers passively, and gamers can, or at least they should, feel empowered to spend or save. The 100% collector's crowd who may have less patience, they're still not going to be fully satisfied, but if they can save their currencies and target endeavors that interest them the most, that'll at least give them better control than they have with the trading post, and I think that is a win for them. The thing that gets me the most is how passive this feels, which sounds kind of weird, but like I already got enough on my plate with WoW stuff, and there are going to be things I actively do for decor, like, farming whatever old content there is, and doing current content, and doing professions. I was worried that professions would peel me away with chores and tasks that I don't really care to do, but now I feel a lot better knowing the majority of my time spent on housing will be actually with housing, building, creating, and redecorating as my item budget gets higher and my collection of decor grows. So I encourage you folks to share your thoughts and concerns and reactions to the blog post or to any of this commentary. I'm pretty confident someone at Blizzard is parsing through some of the feedback, so you should try to make yourself heard, and that's the show. I want to hear about your wins and losses this week for the Collector's Bounty event. For me, since this event, I got a whopping 6 mounts, which I think is still, pretty good. But I also did like 400 squats, which sounds kind of weird, but I decided to spice things up a bit. Every time I try to get a mount and I fail, I do 10 squats. So it made farming up places like Dragon Soul with the 3 mounts, it felt kind of brutal for a while, but hey, I did end up getting them all. So you don't need to do the same thing. I just figured I wanted to, do something to entertain my failures other than just the simple disappointment. But anyway, I'm sated. I got my housing fixed for the month, but as you can probably tell, I'm really excited about what I've learned about, but also, again, I want to talk about and discuss some of these points. I'd love to dive into all the comments. I'm actually trying to catch up with the comments from the other day. So, hey, feel free to chime in here as well, and I'll try to respond. Let's give a hearty thanks to everyone on stream who's been farming alongside me. Like, y'all been doing some squats, I think some of you have been doing, and that's awesome. To our wonderful patrons, thanks for the continued support. And there's always you, viewer. You made it to the end, you fed the algorithm, and it is 94 degrees in here. Wow. So, if you don't mind, please like the video, subscribe for more WoW coverage, catch me live on Twitch for the drop and the giveaways, and I'll catch you later. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy. Oh boy, I'll try.